YouTube, what's going on? We're back at it again. This is gonna be another story time video. Like I said in my last video, I've lived a lot of different lives, a good number of lives over the short time that I've been here on this earth. So I'm gonna kind of go over them with you. This one gonna be my first life number one. All right, like I said, welcome back. Those who don't know me, my name's Josh James, and this is my first life. All right, so I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana in the late 80s. When I was born, the first place I lived was in the Callio Projects in New Orleans, the third wall, right? Callio Projects. I was there when I was real young. I don't even really have too many memories from there, you know. I was a youngin' back then. I think one of my earliest memories was, man, I don't know how old I was. Maybe 5? Don't take my word for it. I was young. But I remember my daddy had came to the back door, knocked on the door. My mama was talking to him through the screen door, you know. They was going through their things or whatever. And I remember going into the bathroom and I told myself, I'm gonna say every cuss word that I know. So there I am in the bathroom saying all these cuss words that I know I ain't supposed to say, right? While my mama occupied at the back door, right? Why? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know why I even remember that story, right? But the next memory I got, like I said, I was real young. My grandma came over I said grandma. You know, that's how we say where we come from, but it's grandmother. Okay? So my grandma came over to babysit me. She lived in the Callio Project too. So I remember telling her, I said, Grandma, because back there, the projects in New Orleans, violent, shooting all the time, right? So I told my grandma, whenever they start shooting, this is what you do. I said, you drop down on the floor. So bam, I get down on the floor on my knees. I say, you roll under the bed. So there I am rolling like how you do when you're on fire and you try to put the fire out. Yeah, I did a little roll like that, and I went under the bed, and I told my grandma, and you lay under the bed until the shooting stopped. When they stop shooting, it's safe for you to come up. And my grandma was just looking at me like, okay, how do you know this? Like, anyway, so from there, so Callio third wall, that's uptown New Orleans, for my people that are interested, right? So from there, I moved in with my auntie. We say auntie where I come from, but I mean aunt, my mama's sister, right? So my auntie lived downtown. She lived in the Lafitte Project, 6th ward. Real young too. I don't really know how old I was. I think I was kindergarten, first grade, man, I don't know. I was young. But memories I have from then, we used to walk to school, and they had a corner store right across the street from the school, right? So we used to go there every morning, and I remember going to the store, and this was either during the time they had paper food stamps. Don't even look at me like that. I know some of y'all know what I'm talking about. The food stamp books they used to have, the paper food stamps. I ain't talking about the card EBT. I'm talking about actual paper food stamps, right? I think the $1 bills kind of looked like money, but the colors was different. I think the $1 bill was brown. The $5 bill, I think they had a $2 bill at the time, was like blue. I think the 10 was like orange, and the 20 was green, something like that. Don't take my word for it. Something like that, right? But anyway, we would go to the store. I would get a quart of juice. Juice was a quarter. You know, I ain't talking about like a juice box or a Capri Sun. It's one of those little juices in a plastic bottle, clear plastic bottle. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about the ones that kind of look like a barrel. It kind of looked like a rectangle cylinder. Anyway, with a full top. We used to take our 2 front teeth and pop it, and we would drink the juice. That was a quarter. The donuts was a quarter too. So, glaze. Always glazed. I don't like all that other stuff. Strawberry, chocolate sprinkles. I don't like none of that stuff. Give me glaze. I used to get a glazed donut. They used to give it to you in a brown paper bag. Walk to school every morning, drinking my little juice, eating my little donut. Right? Not a memory. Back there from the Lafitte Project. My auntie lived upstairs. Right? So to get to the apartment, there's a door. You go in there and there's some stairs that you got to go up. She's upstairs, right? And straight through the living room, there's like a little door with a balcony. Right? So I'm there. I'm out there on the balcony. And around this time, spinning tops was popping back then. Like popping. Spinning tops, man. We used to get them tops. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Spinning tops with the string. You throw them down and they spin. Man, we used to take our grandma and mama nail polish, white out, you know what I'm saying? Put designs and stuff on them. So when you spin them, they look crazy. You know, stuff like that. They had that game Googie. We called it Googie back then. You draw a circle on the ground. You have somebody spin their top. Bam. The next person, your job was to hit their top from the top with yours. And if you hit it just right, you'll split that top in half. So bam. Somebody hit your top, man. I remember, man, boys used to be crying, fighting. You broke my top. Man, it used to go down. Memories. Anyway, right? I'm on this balcony. They got some kids under me on a porch. And when I say porch, I'm talking about a project porch. It's like, it's concrete, like concrete cylinders. They're down there hanging out on the porch, being down there with their little spinning tops. So I'm up there on the balcony, and I remember, because this girl that I used to like, that I went to school with, was walking off at a distance, and I was kind of looking at her, watching her. She looking at me. I'm looking at her. Young as hell, trying to mac. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so when I got done looking at her, I saw these kids with the spinner tops. So I'm leaning over the balcony trying to see. I can't really see them. So I get up. I'm climbing on the bars, inching myself over, trying to get a better look. So while I'm doing that, I black out. Next thing you know, I wake up. I'm in my auntie's apartment. And I'm twitching. I'm like this. And I'm in and out of consciousness. And I'm twitching because there's ants biting me. I got ants all over my body. They got a paramedic have me in his hand. And he's smacking the ants off me, saying, I'm going to be all right. Right? I pass out again. Bam. Black out. Next time I wake up, I'm in a hospital. I got an IV in. My daddy there with me. Bought me some McDonald's, you know. That's kind of like my two main memories there. So from there, that's downtown. 6 Wall Lafitte Project. So from there, we moved back uptown to my daddy and his family's house. Right? We moved uptown in the 13 Wall, VL. You know, you hear some rappers talk about it. You know, VL, 13th, Valley Street, stuff like that. That's why I used to live back over there. I used to live a block from Valley Street. You know, Soniac Park over there, you know, stuff like that. And we lived in a shotgun house. Like a shotgun house, for y'all who don't know, it's kind of like, it's a house, right? It's normally 2 houses together. But we lived in a duplex. So there was 2 houses together at the bottom, 2 houses together at the top. But they call them shotgun houses because whenever you break up a double barrel shotgun, right? And you can look straight through them. That's how the houses are. You can literally look from the front door into the house, and you can almost see right through the back door. Them houses go straight, right? They kind of give you a reference. When you walk in to the house I lived in, you walk in there, there's a living room. You know, there's a straight hallway, right? But you're in the living room. You keep walking, bam, you're in the bedroom. Keep walking in the hallway, there's a bathroom. To your left, everything's to your left. There's nothing to the right but a straight wall, right? On the side that we lived on. Keep straight in the hallway, you're in the kitchen. Keep straight to the left, there's another bathroom. We lived upstairs, so they had a downstairs going out to the back door, right? Keep straight in the hallway, you hit the last bedroom back there. You know, shotgun house, just kind of give you a reference. A lot of memories uptown. You know, I was still young, a little kid, but you know, I was out there outside doing bad kid stuff like that. And one of my memories from there, like I said, this house was upstairs, right? They had these metal rusty stairs that you had to walk up. And you would walk up these stairs to a landing, bam. Then on a turn to the left, you go up to a porch, bam. House on the right side, house on the left side. We stayed in the left. The house was pink. We used to call it the pink house. Right? And I remember, man, whenever it got wet, it rained, anything, you slipping down the stairs at least a couple of times. Right? Everybody, man, everybody, friends, family, myself, everybody has busted their butt on them stairs, man. I'm telling you. I remember one time I was coming down, I hit the landing. So when I started walking downstairs to get to the ground, I slipped on that first step and boom, 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 fell on my butt. And I literally slid down like 10, 15 stairs all the way down to the ground. Now the stairs are wet, so at the bottom of the stairs, there's always a muddy puddle down there. So bam, fall in there, your butt all wet and stuff like that. Man, the memories. Anyway, went to school out there. I went to an elementary school called Allen out there. Like I said, a lot of memories. There's a lot I could talk about there. Let me see. Another one of the big things. So all of us was cool with each other. Everybody in this duplex and them shotgun houses. So the porch on the first floor, we used to always hang out there every New Year's. We used to have a New Year's party. And we used to buy a ton of fireworks. And I remember this one year, we down there popping, and we had like a big, huge, humongous bag of firecrackers in there. You know the ones, the black cats and stuff that be on them long ropes and they be like 100? We used to take them and we used to break them apart. We used to make them singles. So we got thousands of singles inside of this one bag, right? And my uncle there, he popping fireworks, drunk, right? So he threw it. He threw this black cat, it hit the pole, and it fell in his bag. And man, when I tell you, it was a huge explosion. Boom! And then after the explosion, all of those single black cats are popping off. We had other fireworks in there, bottle rockets shooting off. It was complete anarchy, man. I remember, man, no other New Year topped that New Year, right? Anyway, that was Uptown 13 Wall. Bam. My mama get her own apartment in the East. East about 20, 30 minutes away, right? New Orleans East. We moved into these apartments. It was called Versailles Arms. It was apartments. It wasn't a project, but it was kind of set up like a project, like an actual neighborhood. So went out there. I was still coming back uptown like every weekend, right? Bouncing back and forth. But then, you know, I'm getting older out there. I'm starting to make friends. I'm going to school out there now. I think I did my last year at elementary school there. And then I did middle school and high school out there in the East. So at that time, you know, I'm getting older. I'm getting bad. I'm outside, you know, doing stuff I ain't supposed to be doing. You know, fighting every day. You know, doing stuff that I don't want to say on camera, right? Things that I wasn't proud of. Being young and dumb, shooting guns, doing all kind of stuff, right? So out there in the East, you know, I'm getting heavy in the streets, living a double life, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm one way around the family. Outside of the family, you know, I'm a completely different person. Started hanging in the streets heavy, you know, so I don't really want to speak on all that, right? Anyway, Hurricane Katrina hit. I'm 17 years old. I ain't going to go into too much detail. I can be here all day. I might make a separate video on that. But anyway, it literally felt like hell on earth when Hurricane Katrina hit. I literally thought that, because I grew up in the church house. My grandma, my mama, my aunties had me in church. I was in the choir and everything when I was young. So I thought it was the rapture. You know, it's flooding. There's water everywhere. Crime's always high, but crime was at an all-time high. You got people getting raped. You got stores getting looted. People getting killed. All kind of stuff going on. Alligators in the water. It's crazy, right? Anyway, we end up going to Houston. Make this long story short. We go to Houston. I was a senior in high school, so I ended up graduating in Houston. You know, like I said in the last video, I still got my diploma from Louisiana, though, or whatever, right? So, from there, first thing I do, Hurricane Katrina was kind of like, I kind of took that as like a message from God, but at first I ain't take it serious, right? So as soon as I graduated from high school, bam, I moved right back to New Orleans. The whole city of New Orleans ain't even back open yet. Only certain parts open, the outskirts. I ended up moving to Kenner with my cousin. My cousin had a studio apartment. I ended up moving to studio apartment with him in Kenner, right? So we there, and I tried the college thing, started doing that, wasn't for me. Started, working, doing the job thing. That really wasn't for me either. I wanted to be in the streets, young and thugging. You know what I'm saying? So in the process of doing that, one of my best friends got killed. His name was Brandon. We called him B. One of my best friends. Like, B was my homie. That was my dog. So he ended up getting killed. He was 17. He got killed. And I kind of started seeing God's message. I took that as God showing me and telling me, hey, if you keep going down this path you're going to end up in the ground with B, or you're going to end up in Angola, which is the Louisiana State Penitentiary, where there's a lot of people I know and grew up with. They're there right now. A lot of them are dead too. So I kind of took that as an epiphany. I had a lot of conversations with God. Before that, I used to have conversations with the devil. I used to look at the ground. I used to talk to the devil. I'm out here. You got me. So started having conversations with God again. I kind of went astray, and that led me to my second life, which I speak on in the next video. All right, I'm gonna try to cut it short right here, because if I don't, I can go on rambling for a long time. So we're gonna cut it here. We'll pick it up on the next video. That was my first life that I just explained to you. We'll jump into my second life, which leads to me leaving New Orleans and joining the military. All right. Appreciate y'all for checking it out. Welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome. You can go back, look at the previous videos. I got some older videos too. Like, subscribe. I'll see y'all on the next one.